You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 132. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm still Spencer Valdez.
Still. So we're continuing on with some Green Lantern from Showcase Presents, Green Lantern Volume 1.
Yeah.
This episode will be talking about issues number 4 and 5 of the original Green Lantern series.
Yep.
Comic Reflections is brought to you by Rhymes with Geek, where you can check out plenty of cool podcasts, as well as ours, but other shows like Two-Headed Nerd, Feed It Comics, and the all-new Anti-Fanboy at rhymeswithgeek.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher.
Do it.
Yeah. So, and you can also find us on Backissue Heroes Now.
Yeah, you can.
.com. Yeah.
.com.
BackissueHeroes.com, not BackissueHeroesNow.com.
Right.
It's not .org.
Definitely not. Oh, thank you, Sean. Sean's like the Paul Schaefer of this show.
Yes.
Yes, dude, that's need a keyboard.
You really do. Or a keytar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Little
Paul Schaefer
gimmicky.
is, a keytar.
Yes. Sean Roof, the occasional sidekick on this show, is throwing in random comments and playing video games while we record.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so Green Lantern number 4.
Yep.
The lead story is called The Diabolical Missile from Qward.
Uh-oh.
Written by John Broome, penciled by Gil Kane, and inked by Murphy Anderson. I know last episode we were saying, we're going to do Green Lanterns 1 through 5, but we were running a little long and said, hey, let's break it up. So, so this story, yes, the Qwardians are back. They are now becoming the first real reoccurring menace against Green Lantern, and it's the best.
Yeah.
It's
these are the good art.
And these are the best Green Lantern stories of the early material. Like, oh god, finally something fantastical and not jewel thieves.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, there's another jewel thief story in the same issue. So,
yeah.
But anyway.
So what I like about this is that it's an arc that is not tied in with this massive storyline that's happening throughout all of the DC worlds, like today with Timmy Sin and things like that.
I feel like Silver Age DC Comics kind of operates in, yes, it's a shared universe, but there's kind of corners of it that are kind of like, okay, the Superman books tend to kind of be in their own corner.
Uh-huh.
And then the books that Julius Schwartz edit kind of tend to be in their own corner, like Green Lantern, the Atom, and the Flash tend to kind of like, this is kind of hang out over here.
Yeah. And then if you want something that is a team-up thing, you have the Justice League, and you have
World's Finest, and you have Brave and the Bold, and whatever.
Yeah.
Not to say that guest appearances don't happen.
Right.
But
like you don't have to read 4 issues of Justice League and 2 issues of the Brave and the Bold to get a full story.
Exactly. Things are they're connected, but also very standalone, which is, it's so great.
Yeah.
I like comic book worlds that work like that.
Yeah.
They reference other stuff, but you're good. Mm-hmm. Just reading one book or whatever.
It's, to be honest, it's one of the biggest reasons I'm staying away from DC as much as I am today.
Yeah, and you're a big DC Comics
I love
enjoyer.
DC.
Well, and I do too.
But when they want me to buy 10 books to get one storyline, or 10 different titles to get one storyline, you're just grabbing my money at that point.
Well, and it's a cash grab that the big two both pull.
Right, yeah. It's not strictly DC.
But it's, if you're going to have an event, give me a 12-issue maxi series that stands on its own, and the other titles that are happening reference those events. But don't spoil it.
Trade immediately.
Yeah, DC's really bad about getting trades out quick.
Yep.
Which is too bad, because I'm probably going to be waiting a year to read Convergence.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I do want to read.
Yeah.
That's, like, exciting, because I think it's going to be restoring the pre-crisis multiverse.
Yeah.
Into present continuity, which is great. I think the New 52 is a failed experiment editorially.
Okay.
Obviously, it's made them boatloads of money.
Oh, yeah.
But
and it's brought people back.
But people hate the comics, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the worst of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they've made money, but it's petering off, and they've canceled a lot of books.
Yeah.
So anyway,
let's get back to Green Lantern, huh?
I do want to say one thing about the Silver Age, and you know how like DC kind of like there's several kind of corners of that, like the Mort Weisinger, the Superman books, the whole family of titles.
Right.
They seem like they're completely in a separate universe than the rest of the DCU. If you've read any of those, it's like, okay, Batman and Robin show up sometimes, and okay, they show up all the time in World's Finest.
Yeah.
But like in the regular Superman titles, like the only heroes that are ever mentioned are Batman and Robin, and like occasionally Aquaman shows up.
Right.
And because Aquaman was in Adventure Comics, another one of Mort Weisinger's books under that banner. So the only other expanded DC Universe concept that happens in those books is, of course, the Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I don't think it wasn't until the 70s that the Legion ever met the Justice League.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's crazy.
Right.
You know?
And you didn't need a 20-story arc for them to meet.
Well,
DC.
right.
8 different titles.
Yeah. The simpler time of the Silver Age,
Right.
I love so much.
I'm complaining a little too much. Let's get back to...
It's fine.
If DC could just fix that for me, it'd be perfect.
Yeah. This is almost as much complaining as when I do the show with Jeff.
Right, so let's just jump back into the diabolical missile from Qward.
Yeah, I really actually loved this story.
Yeah, so we kind of start off with the Qwardians, who've built this massive robot to defeat their enemy of the positive world, Green Lantern.
Is he made of yellow metal? I think he is.
Yeah, I think that's what it ended up being. But at the same time, it might have just been the same metal that the missile was made out of. Because it was not yellow. It was red.
Weird.
And he wasn't able to affect it.
Maybe because it was from the antimatter universe?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
So, Hal's working on his plane with Pieface.
Pieface!
And
I'm never going to say it like that again.
Okay.
That's my promise. Okay. Yeah?
Yeah, so he's changed into Green Lantern. He's done the power battery, his oath, and out of nowhere this missile comes flying straight for him. And Pieface, being a hero, jumps in front of it and takes kind of the brunt of
the attack.
The attack, yeah. And he's knocked unconscious, and Green Lantern can't affect the missile.
Yeah.
And so he finally gets it to follow him and crash into a barn. Which, does he help the farmer build that barn again?
Maybe it's I don't know.
Maybe it's abandoned, but it's kind of a jerk thing to do, blowing up someone's barn.
Yeah.
So he comes back after he's kind of dismantled the bomb a little bit.
Yeah.
To find Pieface on the ground with this shining around him.
This aura of energy around him.
Yeah, good call. Aura of energy. So he realizes, his heart is slowing. I need to figure out a way to save him. Heads back to the bomb, takes it apart some more, finds a little piece, and he's able to kind of track it back to the...
He realizes it's from Qward.
Yeah.
So he finds the portal to Qward and heads straight for the Weaponers.
Yeah. And he is not happy.
Right.
Because Pieface is, again, his confidant, his pal.
Yeah.
And he's ready to just lay the smackdown on some Qwardians. He grabs one of them in a fist of energy.
Yeah.
Green energy? Willpower?
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, they say, your friend's dying. There's only one way to save him. You fight out of here. And he has to fight the robot the Qwardians were, that the Qwardians have put together.
Now, Naxos is the name of the giant robot.
Yeah.
He's got to fight, and he's made of yellow metal.
Uh-huh.
And he's secretly a good robot.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to fight Green Lantern.
No.
He wants to be pals. Now, Naxos is... Okay, he's super DC Comics robot looking. Okay,
right.
You know exactly what I mean when he's like, he looks like a DC Comics robot.
Uh-huh.
But for like... And Naxos exists for all of like 8-10 panels, but he's awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's a great idea that's kind of thrown away.
Yeah.
But Green Lantern, what happens in their fight?
So they're fighting, and Naxos starts kind of talking to Green Lantern like, "Hey, they're evil. I'm good. I don't want to fight you.
But we kind of have to."
Yeah. And so they're kind of play fighting, but like making it look real
while they talk.
Right.
And Naxos is going to find a way to help Hal. Beat the Qwardians, but also Naxos ends up being destroyed in their fight.
Right. He gives the piece that will save Pieface.
Right. It's a piece of technology or whatever.
Yeah.
A device. And so it's to counteract the deadly radiation that's going to kill him.
Right.
So Naxos, who's this really a cool character who only exists for like 3 pages,
saves Pieface, saves the Lantern.
Could be an interesting ally for Hal. A robot from another universe?
Yeah.
That's awesome! But totally gone.
In their evil ways, the Qwardians kill the robot. Kill the robot?
Yeah, they destroy him.
Yeah. Hal's able to, because they're not yellow, he creates a tidal wave with his ring, and it washes them out. And takes back towards, comes back to the positive Earth.
Positive universe. Because they're on, Qward is a planet, it's not Earth.
Right, yeah.
Qward is a planet in the antimatter universe.
Right.
Okay, so.
Comes back, saves Pieface, and he's glad he saved his friend, but he's a little disappointed that his ally on Qward has perished.
Yeah.
And it's a little heart-wrenching here.
Yeah.
He's thankful that Naxos was there, but is sad that he's gone.
Yeah. So you know who wasn't in that story at all? Carol.
Carol was not in that story.
And wasn't it good? Wasn't it not corny and not formulaic?
Absolutely. It made you feel something for a robot.
Yeah.
You get to say that.
It was a throwaway. Now, I love, for the next story, which is some interesting stuff, I love the splash panel. The story is called The Secret of Green Lantern's Mask.
Right.
And we get a lot of, this is a foreshadowing of things Gil Kane would do a lot later in his career.
Okay.
The floating faces, lots of expressions, especially close up on the eyes. This would become something really masterful that Gil Kane would do a lot later. Especially when he goes over to Marvel and he does these things with Spider-Man and Conan. Really cool.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about this story, the secret of the Green Lantern's mask.
Oh, right. All the artists, right?
Yeah, and let me give credits for that, and we'll understand what I'm talking about. John Broome wrote it, but it's penciled by, get a load of this, Gil Kane, Mike Sikowski, Ross Andrew, Carmine Infantino, and Joe Giella, and then Joe Giella inked the thing. Here's probably what happened. Gil Kane starts the story. Gil Kane gets sick or has other commitments and can't meet the deadline.
Right.
So other artists in DC's stable take over and do a couple of pages each.
Right.
And Gil Kane may have done the layouts, and then these guys followed him. Now, reading the story, it works rather seamlessly. It's not like big jumps in like artistic style. I noticed some things that are like definitely Mike Sikowski isms or touches, but I didn't spot anything that was like that screamed Carmine Infantino or any of these other cats that worked on it. A thing that is kind of lost in comics today is that a lot of artists knew how and would mimic when appropriate another artist's style when asked.
Yeah.
And there's again, it's pretty smoothly, pretty seamlessly.
Oh yeah.
Done, and
it's not like you're changing books mid-story.
Now, I've seen some modern comics where, like, okay, the artist changes in the middle of the book, and it's drastic, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know, I read it was like a one-shot, like, of something that Amanda Connor did, and she does the first 8 pages, and, like, right on, and then, like, ew, like, yuck, when the artist changes to...
Right.
And it's just disappointing.
I think there was an issue of something I was reading that, I don't remember who the first artist was, but then it changed to Len Wein.
Len Wein is not an artist, he's a writer.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know, what book were you reading?
I can't remember.
I can't think of what Len Wein would be writing these days, either.
Jim Lee. It was Jim Lee.
Oh, ew.
Yeah. And so it went from this great-looking stuff to this kind of...
Jim Lee was the primary artist?
No, he was the backup.
Weird that Jim Lee would be the fill-in, because usually, like, first of all, Jim Lee has a huge fan base. I am not a part of it.
Right.
But usually, like, when he does a book, it's like he's the headliner because he sells a book.
Right.
He's got talent. He's obviously influenced by Neil Adams and John Byrne, who I'm a big fan of both of. Yeah. But when I look at Jim Lee's art, it's like, this isn't what I want to look at.
Right.
But that's odd that he would be doing a fill-in, especially because he's slow. Well, you know Jim Lee's doing a book like, oh, it's going to sell well, but it's going to be late.
Right.
Consistently. So, yeah. But weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to your point, it's smooth throughout.
Yeah.
It looks
so
good throughout.
Great job, DC. Way to be pros.
Yeah.
In the 1960s. So, what's going on in this story? Let's talk about this story.
So, is Carol throwing a party? I think
that's what it is.
She's throwing a party. All the socialites will be there.
She invites Green Lantern, not Hal.
Right, yeah, not Hal.
Hal plans to crash the party.
Yeah,
because Green Lantern was invited.
Yeah, he writes a note saying that Green Lantern can't make it. And he's like, well, I see that you're here without a gentleman caller. I will be that gentleman. And she's like, okay. He's like, I can do magic tricks.
Yeah, do card tricks. She's like,
illusions.
Really? Can you make, like, awesome stuff out of green energy? No. Yeah.
So he's entertaining the rest of the crowd. Everyone's loving him, and Carol doesn't care because Green Lantern's not there.
Yeah, but the butlers are secretly going to be burglars.
Right.
Jewel thieves.
Yep, jewel thieves.
And
their plan is to dress like Green Lantern.
One of them.
Yeah.
And distract everybody, or use tricks to make it seem like he's using powers, and then steal their jewels.
Right.
But of course, they didn't know that the real Green Lantern is actually there.
Yeah.
So,
so they put their plan into action, and Green Lantern, or Hal Jordan, says, well, maybe Green Lantern should show up. But while both Green Lanterns are away, they decide, the rest of the crowd decides, all right, scavenger hunt. Whoever can get Green Lantern's mask wins the day.
Yeah. I can't remember what they win, but it's the contest or whatever.
Right.
I also found it amusing the fake Green Lantern, because he's in cahoots with all these other butlers, they kind of pull some, like, tricks to make it seem like he's got powers.
He, like, opens the door, and, like, another guy jumps up onto a chair.
It's pretty, like, corny, like...
Yeah.
But it works well enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, while they're away, the fake Green Lantern comes through, and he starts to get chased down by a couple of the other partygoers. Mm-hmm. And he slips and knocks himself out, and they unmask him.
Right.
And Carol is thoroughly disappointed at how
bad of an impersonation should be.
Or how, like, not the handsome dude.
Right. And so she's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Really, Carol Ferris? You're a terrible person.
She is. She's nuts. So
she's nuts. So I guess it works out a little bit.
It's okay. I don't know if it works out.
So he gets his mask back on, and the plan is the lights go out, they steal the jewels, and they get out.
But see, the fake Green Lantern says, "I'm going to send your jewels around the moon and bring them back." And then you can tell all these jewels, all your friends, they've been around the moon.
Yeah.
So, but the lights go out and the jewels get stolen.
Yeah.
And the trick is, they're just going around the moon. They'll be back. Whatever.
Everything's gone, and so is Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, the actual Green Lantern was there.
And then just beats up the guys.
Yeah, grabs them, carries them off to jail.
Use Giant's fists to punch them and stop bullets and things. It's fun.
Green Lantern leaves, but Hal Jordan leaves a note saying, "Hey, I saw the Green Lantern showed up. You didn't need me anymore."
There you go.
So, poor Hal Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's still Green Lantern, so Hal Jordan is it.
So there's a little epilogue with Carol and Green Lantern talking.
Uh-huh.
And she tries to take off his mask, and it's stuck to his face. Yep. Because he's using the force of his power ring to keep it on.
And she is thoroughly disappointed again.
Yeah.
Because Carol is terrible.
Yeah.
Alright, so next...
we have Green Lantern number 5.
Number 5.
And the lead... oh, wait, is it this story takes up the whole issue.
Yeah.
It's a 3-parter within the one issue. So, that's cool. They like to call it a 3-part novel. DC like to do this a lot.
Uh-huh.
And it works. Usually those book-length stories are pretty groovy. This one is great because it introduces Caps, the Green Lantern's first real reoccurring single enemy. Now, the Qwardians have shown up again, but this is a guy that he'll fight time and again.
Yeah.
Hector Hammond.
Hector Hammond.
So yes, The Power Ring That Vanished. Written by John Broome. And penciled by Gil Kane. Inked by Joe Giella.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because if you know anything about Hector Hammond, we think of him as a cripple with a giant head.
Right, yeah.
And he is a dashing, handsome guy in the beginning. What's going on? But let's just dig into the story.
Yeah. So, it starts off with the Green Lantern flying about the city.
Mm-hmm.
And the ring being pulled off his finger.
What?
And him kind of falling. And you're not sure what's going to happen. And it says, but first, let's hop back a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And so it hops back to another party in which when Hector Hammond is introduced.
And he's introduced as a lion of society. And now we're talking about high society.
Yeah.
This guy's a rich inventor. He's handsome. He's dashing. He's got the Reed Richards kind of white in the side of his hair, but it looks good. He's got the Vincent Price mustache.
Yeah.
Or it's more of an Errol Flynn. You know what I mean? Because, I think that's where they're going for this. And all the chicks are crazy about him, including Carol. She says, I may even be able to forget about Green Lantern.
Right, yeah. And so they're at this party. He invites them all back to his place.
Which is a floating place in the sky.
Right, yeah. It's a crazy little house that, again, floats in the sky. And he's kind of coming on to Carol a little bit.
Yeah.
He's trying to impress her.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Carol is...
just eating it up?
Yeah. At the same time, the pilot, Hal Jordan, and Pie Face are hanging out.
Oh, yes. Hal Jordan. I remember this book is about him.
Yeah. They're kind of working on his plane. Let's see what happens. You want to take it?
Me? Yeah. Okay. Working on a plane. Pieface exclaims, "Jumping fish hooks, Al!" Like, oh man. But so there are some scientists who disappeared.
That's right, yeah.
And Hal decides, as Green Lantern, he's gonna try and find them.
Yep. So he goes looking for them. And he
realizes we find out they are captives of Hector Hammond.
Mm-hmm.
But something weird has happened to them.
Yeah.
They're inventing they're captives of his. They're inventing all this stuff for him, and he's taking all the credit.
Right.
They have been evolved by this comet that has evolved their brains. Why they, with their super intelligent, they can't escape from Hector Hammond?
Because the power over them, he kind of scared them into doing whatever he says.
Oh, okay.
It's a weird mind control thing.
Yeah. Hector Hammond is an impressive supervillain. He's like a handsome Lex Luthor.
Yep.
Only, I mean, he's using all. I mean, he's intelligent, but it's really more of he's an idea guy, but the technical ability isn't all that there.
Right.
That's why he's got these guys.
Yeah. So prior to him finding them,
he found that comet or whatever,
right.
or meteorite.
Green Lantern decides, I'm gonna have you, Pieface, be my double, and so using the power of the ring,
he makes Pieface look like Green Lantern and gives him kind of a copy of the ring.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the power.
Yeah.
And so he can do Green Lantern stuff. And Pie's having the thrill of his life. I get to be my hero.
Right, yeah.
And fly around and do stuff. It allows Green Lantern to be in two places at once.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he's trying to track down and find these guys, or he's already on to Hector Hammond. I was a little unsure about that.
Yeah, it confused me a little bit too.
However, it allows him to distract and covertly do things as the real Green Lantern.
Yes.
So, I like that.
Yeah. Pieface Green Lantern is flying around Coast City, and the scientists decide they need to escape,
Mm-hmm.
and so they use their kind of power beam thing and pull the ring and draw fake Green Lantern into where they are.
Right.
Kind of underneath the house-ish kind of place.
Right. And it's really interesting because Hector Hammond finds the ring, the fake ring,
Right.
and it's got a bit of the power, so he's using it. He's like, oh man, now I get the power of Green Lantern.
Right.
So
yeah, he has the he finds the ring, and Pieface is there. He's trying to figure out how he can help these four scientists who tell him their story,
right,
about the meteorite that Hammond has found, how it's changed them, evolved them 100,000 years into the future.
I think about this as a scientist who just knows exactly how much more evolved people would be.
Yeah.
Because that we know things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hector, he finds the ring. He goes out to the meteorite that he's found.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back and he sees that the four scientists aren't alone, and that Green Lantern's there.
But it's Pieface.
Right.
But Hector Hammond doesn't know that it's not the real Green Lantern.
Right. And so they charge him. They charge Hammond, and he uses the ring to cause them to fall over.
Right. And then he uses the ring to turn Pieface Lantern into a chimpanzee.
Right. Yeah, he de-evolves him.
Which is crazy.
Right. But for some reason, Pieface keeps his memory and consciousness.
Yeah, it's the physical form of an ape, but his mind is still human, which is good. That's important.
And so Hector Hammond starts taunting Pieface with bananas and.
Man, this story is bananas.
Yeah, it is. Luckily, Hal Jordan, the real Green Lantern, spoilers.
I love what Pieface is thinking, though. He says, when the real Green Lantern catches up with this guy, he'll make a monkey out of him.
That's right, and he does.
Oh, yes.
So, kind of in the third part of this three-part series.
Yes.
it's Green Lantern versus Hector Hammond, and they both have power rings.
Right. And I love how when the real Green Lantern confronts Hector, and of course Pieface is in a cage because he's a monkey now.
Right. Yeah.
They have just like a giant arm wrestling match with giant green fists.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So they're fighting a little bit, and
of course Hal triumphs because Hector Hammond doesn't have as much power.
That's how the Green Lanterns settle disputes.
On Oa.
Yeah.
They just have big arm wrestling.
Big arm wrestling.
Why not?
So
Subsection 58.
Oh man.
Hammond gets away, takes off, he flies away, causes this black smoke to slow down Green Lantern.
Yeah. Again, just like pulling stuff out of thin air.
Yeah.
It's using the ring for stuff that you don't see it used for anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Green Lantern is still able to track Hammond because it's his construct.
Right.
The ring is his.
Why he can't make the ring just disappear.
Right.
Because it's a pretend one that Hal made.
Right.
But anyway, Hector Hammond goes and opens up, just wrecks a dam and causes a flood.
Watch your mouth.
Oh, I see what you're doing. And oh no, Hal's got to stop a flood from destroying Coast City.
Right. So again, we come back to this. How much does he have to be thinking about something to keep it in place? Because he takes off after he dams up the water.
Right.
I
think and at this point it's kind of arbitrary.
Right. Yeah.
So
Here goes Hal, causing more destruction. Lets the monster loose.
Yeah.
Man. Makes this rain as if breaking out of a dam.
Yeah.
So Hector Hammond has kind of set up
machine gun nests back on his island.
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of great.
And Hal flies in and hits his head on a branch.
Oh man.
I don't remember reading that Hammond did it to him. That maybe he's just a clumsy flyer.
I guess. Oh, a dried limb fell from the tree.
Right. Okay.
So just getting hit in the head. Really?
It always knocks the person out.
Right. Right.
We're fragile creatures.
It is. It kind of reminds you. You can get hit with the branch. It reminds me of Alan Scott, not being able to affect anything made of wood. But I wonder if this is a nod to that.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. But anyway, Hector Hammond and his machine guns.
Yeah, he decides I'm going to shoot him with all of my guns.
Yeah, but then Green Lantern flies up, regains consciousness, and he flies up and he hits Hector Hammond with a giant broom.
Yeah. So the ring, the extra, the fake power ring, loses power.
Right.
Before he's able to pull the trigger. And so he runs up to grab the gun and is nailed by a broom.
Yeah, and then Hal punches him in the face with his real fist, which is really great.
Yeah.
Hector Hammond is exposed as a cunning fraud. The scientists are returned to normal. Pieface is good. Everything's good. And Carol loves Green Lantern.
Yeah. There's this weird kind of epilogue of Green Lantern in the prison, and Hector Hammond is kind of put in charge of the prison library.
Yeah.
And he's reading through a dictionary where he decides to gain all the knowledge from. I don't get it, but you know what? If he's trying to better himself, good for him.
But I don't think you're going to be the greatest supervillain in the world by memorizing the encyclopedia.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so just a little more on Hector Hammond.
Yeah.
He was the secondary antagonist in
the Green Lantern movie,
played by Peter Sarsgaard, I think it was.
Yeah.
Interesting take on the Green Lantern.
A lot of people really hate that movie. I don't. It's flawed, but it's fine. Yeah. I realized I was like, if they'd have made it to a sequel, the sequel would have been better.
Right. So my thought is, as a big Green Lantern fan,
yeah,
I was hoping for great stuff.
Yeah.
And I got mediocre. And I think that's where people hate it.
Well,
is that they got mediocre when they were hoping for so much. And that's kind of on us. You know,
I mean,
we should have expected...
there are minor things that are wrong with that movie. Like, the costume looked weird. And maybe Ryan Reynolds wasn't the best choice in the world. I think he was okay.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't terrible, but I think having the parallax, being like not a villain that talks to you thing.
Right.
Anytime you're fighting a force of nature or an evil force that's not a person, is always kind of lame.
Right.
Like, that's a faceless thing. Yeah. It's weak. I mean, it's a good thing that they had Hector Hammond, who was...
Right, yeah.
A person.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's no reason Sinestro couldn't have been the corrupt, fallen Green Lantern that Hal had to face.
Yeah.
And it would have been a million times better.
Yeah, and I mean they set up for that in the sequel.
I know, which never happened. And it's too bad because Mark Strong, I think that's his name, the guy who played Sinestro, he was absolutely the best part of that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he was amazing as Sinestro.
Yeah, he was really good.
There are things about that movie I do really like, and that's one of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can agree that there are definitely good things about that movie.
Kilowog looked cool. Tomar-Ray looked cool.
Yeah.
They were both neat in the movie. The Guardians looked weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
Guardians kind of look weird anyways.
Yeah.
You know.
Big heads.
Well,
I mean, but they do have big heads in the comics.
Right.
But,
look weird.
So, yeah, I just want to talk a little more about him. He later on he gains way more abilities. He's exposed to the meteorite
himself, but he loses like physical movement.
Right.
But it's all brain power after that, which is an interesting thing. And he's also a supervillain who never has a supervillain name. He's never the Brain Master or anything.
Yeah.
He's just Hector Hammond, like Lex Luthor. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, can you name many other supervillains that are just the person's name and not Dr. So-and-so or Mr. this or that?
Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, but he's named from a nursery rhyme character.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's a monster. Also. Let's be clear on that. Okay, I'm not trying to come down on you.
Bizarro Superman?
Bizarro Superman.
Bizarro, number one.
Yeah. Just he's able to do crazy things. He... psychic abilities, telekinetic.
Like Toya Harada.
Yeah.
Only Toya Harada still looks good in a suit and walks around.
That's true. Hector Hammond does not. I read that at one point he tried to steal all of the good memories of Christmases of Hal Jordan's past.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not read that story. That's why DC like to do those holiday stories too at some point. That was a big thing of theirs in the 70s especially.
Yeah.
I haven't read. I'd love to read that.
I mean, that is a silly concept.
It is.
I mean, that kind of develops into kind of one of his abilities that he draws the emotions out of someone. Interesting,
because I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that he had the super intelligence, and he physically was immobile, but had like a lot of telekinesis and things.
It might have been like just a couple story arc or something.
Yeah, but then like sometimes there are villains or characters who are like, they have the ability to do a thing with their powers that you didn't realize, and it seems weird.
Yeah.
Like, I've read stories, like old stories with Magneto, where because he's able to manipulate the iron in someone's, and the metals in someone's mind, he can control people's minds.
Right.
I'm like, what?
Or drawing the iron out of their blood, you know.
Or, yeah, I understand using the iron in your blood to, make you, stick you to the floor, you can't move.
Right.
To immobilize you. That makes sense. But the mind control aspect of that is weird.
Right.
I get it to maybe move you like a puppet, but to control you, it's weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff.
I enjoyed this. Carol, again, is at the end.
Yeah. I think the next episode's going to be really great, because Hal's going to, for the first time, meet another Green Lantern, other than Evan Sur.
Yep.
And also we'll have, I think, the first couple of Sinestro stories the next time.
Yeah.
Because we'll be reading Green Lantern 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yep.
For next time. Do you have any more stuff, or do I want to call it?
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Okay, cool.